Hey Virgo, welcome to your full moon intuitive reading. My name is Dee. Welcome to CatalystEnergies, and I'm so grateful that you're here, Virgo. This is a report mixing the astrology for Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Rising with an intuitive read using some cards here and just some basic information coming in about what Virgos can expect and how to best harness this energy with the full moon. So we have Sun in Aquarius, we have the Moon in Leo, and for Virgos, that's highlighting the 6th and the 12th house of the zodiac. And so the 6th house is the work, right? It's the work that you do on a daily basis. It's your health routine. We always keep talking about doing the work, you know, in like in the spiritual community or just like wanting to be well. What does that mean? Well, that's the 6th house. That's doing the work. What are you doing every day to cultivate this inner master that we all want to get to? And then with the 12th house for Virgo is Leo, and this is where the moon will be. And the 12th house is really, you've done the work and now it's time to really merge with in a very emotionally feeling-based way with the collective. It's not in the mind like in Aquarius. It's now part of who you are. And the 12th house also is stepping away from the group, stepping away from the society and the culture in order to get back to a much deeper, a much wider experience of what it means to be part of this universe, whatever that means to you. You know, it's going back to source, going back to God, and it's very much about compassion and forgiveness. It is the place of where we're inspired creatively, and the place of intuitive messages. It's the field of vibration from which we all come. Anyway, 12th house is kind of elusive, which makes sense because it's very watery and boundaryless. So for Virgos, we're looking at the sun that's been in your 6th house with Aquarius, and it's all about doing the work. And for Virgos, doing the work is a very mental thing because it's Aquarius, which makes sense because Virgos are very meticulous. It's ruled by Mercury. It is an earth sign because you're actually making changes to physical material reality, like what are you doing with your resources on a daily basis. And so the work is very much about the conceptualizing of the collective, being futuristic, thinking outside the box, being your unique self as like the best part of, you know, all of us being our unique self is part of the collective, is, you know, but Aquarius in a 6th house is really about, that's the work that you're doing, is you're cultivating that Aquarian presence as the work for yourself, Virgo, which makes sense, you know, being that you're a very meticulous, detail-oriented person, wants to put things where they need to be. You know, the work with Aquarius is then managing that from a collective standpoint and being able to conceptualize something more than what you even see. That's, you know, that's because Virgo can get there's a lot of tunnel vision because you're just like constantly wanting to put things where they belong. And so being able to have a wider perspective like Aquarius is definitely part of the work that Virgos are doing. 12th house with Leo, I mean, this is very fascinating to me because when you get to the 12th house, you kind of want to take a step back from everything and go within. And Leo doesn't want to take a step back at all. Leo's definitely takes a step forward. I am at the center of everything as a Leo. I am the sun that shines and gives life to everything. It's about opening our hearts. That is where our internal sun really is in our hearts, shining forth, being confident. So this kind of feels like a paradox in some ways with Virgo, that you have a 12th house of Leo, but really your leadership is where is meant to be here. Your full expression of yourself is in your spiritual life, and that isn't always out there for everybody, but it's within yourself and the cultivating with your spiritual life and your and divinity, whatever that means to you. These cards are very interesting because it actually speaks to this quite a bit, because there's like a lot of turning that Leo energy inward, because it's not for anybody but for yourself. But when it's for yourself, it's also for everybody, but not outwardly. So Mercury's moved into Pisces. That is your seventh house of how you show up in partnership. And Neptune's been here for a while, making things really confusing and elusive and illusionary in some ways. And now that Mercury's here, about to go retrograde, I mean, I think we're going to get some mixed messages in general, but for Virgos in this, having no boundaries, the propensity towards no boundaries when you're in this realm, I think is really hard for Virgos because they are so meticulous and detail oriented. But it is within the context of relationships that you're really able to let go. And that's, I think, a beautiful thing. And it's been very strengthened with Neptune here for a long time. But at the same time, Mercury's going to come through, like I said, and go retrograde. And it's going to be interesting. So just be mindful that messages and the way you communicate and the way that information comes to you is going to be, it's going to be just even extra confusing. Absolutely. And so Venus is now in Aries, which is the 8th house of shared resources, power dynamics, sexuality, and intimacy. It's about death and rebirth. It's really, the 8th house is about the power dynamic that's inherent when you start sharing resources with another, which is what, once you enter partnership of any kind, there is a power dynamic, there is something shared there, and the 8th house shows you where that is, because it's very much in the emotional realm, intimacy and trust. And so that's where the Chiron wound is, and it's going to continue to be there until 2026. And so for Virgos, there is so much creative potential when it comes to what you share with others, because you're already like melting into boundarylessness when it comes to how you show up in relationships. And so all you see is potential, and you're very ambitious, and there's a lot of courage there, and daring to go forward, absolutely, in this realm. And so, but this is where the Chiron wound is, and then Venus is going to come and meet Chiron very soon. And, there's going to be a potential for some sort of creative action around that, whatever that is. And so, for Virgo, I think it's going to be really important to be willing to, at the very least, find an outlet, a material outlet of something to harmonize that, to give voice to it in some ways. Absolutely, when it comes to your shared resources and how you show up in the context of intimacy, and it could be business too. Those are shared resources with a business, and that requires responsibility. 8th house is also debts, what you owe as well. So Virgo, it seems to me that there may have been some disappointments, and certainly some crankiness, to be perfectly honest, about things not going. But this is because where you need to put your energy, as the full moon is going to show you, is in your spiritual life. Like, you show up in full expression of your heart open in your spiritual life, in that space where you go within. So we got 3 cards from the tarot. Let's see here. The 6 of Wands reversed, the 4 of Swords upright, and then the 9 of Cups reversed. There is certainly not feeling very victorious, not feeling very satisfied, and really needing a mental timeout. Absolutely. It's time to just give your mind a break, Virgo, especially because Aquarius is your 6th house, and that's really, this is where the work is understanding the collective pursuit and the bigger picture of everything, from a knowing standpoint. I think that number 13, Buddha prepares. Again, this is taking you back to, it's all about going within, cultivating within, settling your mind. You might not feel satisfied, and you certainly might not feel like that you've gotten anywhere, that you even have any victory to speak of. But it's because it's time for you to pull that energy inward to prepare yourself, and to, as a Buddha, as an awakened person, I mean, you're really putting that energy in there. And of course, you're cultivating who you are, your inner master in real life, by the way that you intellectualize, and the way that you're able to think creatively and outside of the box. I mean, that is really, and to show up. Aquarius is the water bearer, so you show up in your relationships as water as well, so that makes sense. So the two animal messages that I have for Virgo, spirit guide animal messages, oh my gosh, be the weasel. I'll read it first. Be silent, pay attention, and simply observe with your eyes, ears, and physical feelings what is happening around you. Be silent. Be silent. Be silent, Virgo. Give your mind a break. It's time to go inward into stillness. And really, that full moon is going to show you that you shine the most in your spiritual realm. Absolutely. Just like when the Buddha is preparing. And then also the platypus. Stop complaining and focus your attention on the blessings in your life. Things have not been going the way you want. I totally get that, especially with your 7th house being so elusive and confusing, and also now with your 8th house with Venus there, and Chiron's been there for a while. But I'm telling you, Virgo, it's time to just, you know, slow your roll, give your mind an opportunity to let the water settle. Absolutely. So you can get a clear picture within. And that's where you need to be putting your energy. And there is a lack of satisfaction, and there is a lack of feeling like that you've had any kind of victory in terms of what you're creating. But that's because that is not what's the time right now, and you should definitely want to focus on what you have cultivated. And again, it's all about within, Virgo. It's all about, you know, your heart is opening when it comes to your life within. So I would really look it up. Akashic Tarot, the Buddha prepares, just if you need to like have a visual that you can keep going back to, because that is the message for Virgo, is to get still, and to be very focused, laser focused. And Aquarius too. I mean, Aquarius is like able to, that's what Aquarius does, is still the mind, and it's like laser sharp focus. And that's why Aquarius can see out into the future and see beyond the bounds of culture and society and what's already here, because he's able to just have a very direct line. And so you need to be doing that, Virgo, and not focus so much on what you don't have, but focus on what you do have. And what you do have is this incredible ability to be yourself in the realm of your spiritual life. And that allows you to show up in relationship as a creative, loving, compassionate individual. So Virgo, I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for joining me. Check out the description box below. It has all of the information you need, how to get a hold of me, how to book a reading, how to reach out, ask questions, just connect. I would love to hear from you. Have a great full moon. Do something creative. Do something creative that has to do with going within and being still, Virgo. This will really serve you right now for the full moon, and showing that your true self-expression is coming from your inner world and your connection to source. All right, Virgo, thanks for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.